Guys, it's about time I made this tutorial. Hi, it's Funny Animator Jim TV. Alright, so we're gonna continue part 3. Well, this is where we left off, part 2, enemy targeting. So we had, whoa, what? Okay, it's like lagging. It's really lagging for me. Okay, there we go, it's back. Okay, so the enemies, they can target each other and they can move around. You know what we're gonna just change this to be like minus 300 and 300. Minus 300 and 300. So that's going to make it so they have a larger range when they target, so they get farther away. Already you can see what's happening is they are choosing to go just a little bit further away. If you wanted, you could... Oh, here also. You have to change these to minus 300 and 300, like that. So now you can see that when they move, when they start moving, they choose to separate a little farther, like that. So that'll just make, because, I mean, in a real Battle Royale game, you're not going to brush up right against your opponent. Like, that would be kind of weird. It might, I don't know if that would work or not, but we don't want that. So you can increase these numbers as much as you want, and that's going to make them hide further away. But, I mean, in reality, you wouldn't be able to track a player that was off screen. Like right here, if I'm looking this way, I wouldn't be able to see a guy right here. This is about 300 pixels, so that's why I suggest you do 300. Alright, so anyway, in this tutorial, we're going to make the bullets. So we're going to make it so so we can shoot bullets, and the enemies can shoot bullets at each other. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a sprite called bullet. And you can just take the player's gun and copy it over to here. And then that's going to put it in the exact same spot. So just make like a small version of it, something like this. And that's good enough for a bullet for now. So we're going to call this costume bullet. And then we're going to need an extra costume. Just make it the first one, a blank costumes, delete the bullet. Just completely blank and call it 0. So we're going to have this 0 costume and the bullet. And if you wanted different types of bullets, you would just duplicate this as many times as you want and call the bullet different names and change the way the bullet looks. Okay, so game plan is most people, what they do is when mouse down, they do this. They create clone of bullet. So they do this, and they click and they use this block. Let me zoom in a little bit. They just create clone of bullet, and then the bullet flies off, and if it's touching the edge or something, then deletes itself. That's too vague. Like, we're not gonna do that. That is really imprecise. How's the bullet gonna know where to spawn? Like, which enemy? What direction is it gonna know where to spawn? So the best way I've found to do this, and it's not that complicated, is we're going to have a list. So we're going to have a bunch of lists. So the first one we're going to call bullet X. You can probably guess what the second one's going to be. It's called bullet Y. And I'll just say the next view list, bullet direction. Bullet direction, make these are lists for all sprites. And then we don't need this list for now, but just make it anyway, bullet type. So the way we're going to use these lists, so the way it's going to work is any enemy or player, when they choose to shoot, they're going to add their position, their direction, and the bullet type to the list. So it's going to be like this. It's a bullet X, Y, type, direction, and type. So they're going to be like this. So they're going to add enemy X and enemy Y and direction and let's just say bullet. I don't know. Let's just regular. Okay, so I don't know. It's pistol. Let's call it pistol. So pistol. Like just say it's a pistol bullet. So they're gonna add this stuff to the list. So when they shoot, like I don't know, pick random 150, one in every 50 frames. Anytime they decide to shoot, they just add this to the list, and boom, it's in all the lists if we look at them. So you can see not the bullet type and the direction. So they add their stuff. They add it to the list, and then the bullet receives that. So it's constantly detecting if it's up to date. And if it's not, and if it detects that there's a new item in here, then it creates the clone. It creates the clone, it sets it to this position, it goes and it travels in that direction, it goes, okay, so then after a certain time, it's got to delete itself. Then what it does, then what it's going to do is it's going to replace item 1 of all the lists, or whatever item it is, whatever item the bullet was, like let's say it was number 1, it's going to replace all of these with a blank underscore, or just an underscore. So like let's do this a bunch of times. Let's just say there's a bunch of enemies, they're all spawning bullets. Then bullet 1 runs out first, and it deletes itself. What it does is it deletes the clone, but before it does, it changes all these to an underscore. And then what that's going to do is all the bullets are eventually going to delete themselves. Whoops, sorry. Like this. They're going to eventually delete themselves. And then, by the very end, when the bullet list is completely full of these underscores, then it deletes all of these lists. So it deletes all the lists. So that's how it's going to work. We're not creating the clones directly from the enemies. We're going to add the position to the list, and this bullet is going to be like a data receiver. It's going to just detect if it's behind or not, and immediately if it tells it's behind, it's going to create the clones. Okay, and then the deleted bullets replace themselves with an underscore, and then it gradually tries to clear the list out at the very end. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. So how do we do this? So at the start, we're going to set up when we receive our setup. So before the game starts, we're just going to delete all of those bullet lists. So bullet X, delete all of bullet X, bullet Y, bullet direction, and bullet type. Okay, so we delete all of these. And we also want to set our costume to 0 at the beginning. So we set it to the default costume. And then we're going to delete this clone. Now we need a new variable. This is going to be our variable for the bullets. Call it dash clone number. This is kind of like our enemy number. So it detects where it detects every bullet has its own version of this number for this sprite only. And put a dash in front of it, because that's how I like to do it. So you want to set this to 0 at the beginning, and then delete this clone. So that's enough for the setup. Okay, so now on our tick. Oh, and a lot of people I've noticed they're just putting forever loops. Like they're just doing this. Like they're just putting another forever loop in here, and switching to costume and like waiting 1 second. All this crazy stuff with these forever loops. You can't do this with this system, because what's going to happen is it is going to lag like crazy. Like, look at this. Wait, okay. Or they'll like put... Wait, okay, so I need to figure out how to like actually... I've never done this before, so I don't know like actually how it works. Okay, let's just say you go to 0, 0 at the beginning in the forever loop. Okay, there, you can see it. Right now, it is lagging like crazy. Like, you can, it's so lagging. I take it out, and it's buttery smooth again. I mean, it doesn't look like it on the screen recording, but when I play it, it's so laggy when you do this. And it's like, no matter what, no matter how strong your computer is, this will lag up your game. So you cannot use these forever loops. If you want to, you have to take this tick out. So just do the player movement. So what you would want to do instead is get this tick, and when I receive tick, and then do whatever you need to do after this tick, so it's running every single frame. And if you need those forever loops, you need to take out this tick and just do the player movement, and then you need to put forever loops in all of these. So you need to do like, when I start as clone, forever do this, forever, and all these forever loops. Put everything in the forever loops. So, but I think the tick is just better, and we'll talk about ways on like how we can detect detect in wait times instead of using these wait blocks. Okay, so That's enough. So you have to use the tick block, and that's what we're going to do again. So when I receive tick, which is going to be for our every frame, like every frame it's going to do this. So the way we're going to tell between the parent sprite and the bullet clones is by the costume name. So that's why we made this 0 costume, this blank costume. We're going to detect if costume name equals 0. Then it's the parent sprite, and we do blah, 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 what we're going to do. Else, it's a bullet clone, so we're going to do this. And now we're going to make 2 blocks, one for each of those. So the first one is going to be called manager, not manager, manager. And the second one is going to be bullet. So the manager is going to be in here, and the bullet is going to be in here. So the manager is going to create the bullet clones. It's going to check whether the list is up to date. It's going to create the new clones. It's going to clear the list. It's going to do all the list management. The bullet block is going to, it's for the bullet clones. Like, it's going to control the bullet movement and stuff. Okay, so what we need to do is, so the way it's going to work is, so when we set up, the clone number is 0. And the length of the bullet type, the length, so you can get this block, length of bullet X is also 0. What if this bullet list all of a sudden had something in it, or, okay, maybe not bullet type, bullet X, like what if all of a sudden, like 134, like, somebody sent a bullet. Now, the bullet list length is 1, and the clone number is still 0. We need to make 1 clone. So we can do this trick. We can repeat length of bullet X minus clone number. Like, look at that. So now, clone number is 0 because we set it up. The difference is 1, so we're going to make 1 extra clone. Like, isn't that kind of cool? And then, like, let's say the clone number is 3. And then this has 7 numbers. So 4 new bullets were created. Well, 7 minus 3 is 4. We're going to create 4 new bullets. So that's our formula. So we're going to change clone number by 1. So we adjust to the new one. And then we're going to switch to costume bullet. Switch costume to bullet. So then by the time it gets here, it knows it's a bullet. We're going to create clone of myself, because by then we're ready. And then switch costume back to 0, because we have to switch it back to make sure that we're still the parent. To make sure that we don't lose the manager. Okay, so now we need to set the bullet's position and stuff. So we're just gonna make 2 more variables. Just call it -x and -y for this sprite only, again, because this is gonna be for the individual bullets. So we're gonna set -x and -y to item clone number of bullet X and item clone number of bullet Y. So we're gonna do that. What that's gonna do is, so say the bullet list length is 1. So okay, we updated it to 1. Now it's gonna set the X and Y to whatever that item was, whatever X it receives, whatever Y it receives. We're also gonna point in direction, item clone number of bullet direction. So the direction that we're gonna get, like once it receives it. And you can do this. You can point in direction. You can set costume to item clone number of bullet type. So, like, what's our bullet type gonna be? We set it to like pistol is what we're gonna do. So pistol. So we're just gonna call this costume name pistol. Like, it has to match the same name. So then it knows which one to switch it to. Then it creates the clone. Okay, then it's done. It switches to 0. And by then, the clone number is updated to the new number, so then it's going to create the new clones on the next round if it needs to, which is awesome. Okay, so that's good for now. Alright, so now we're going to go to bullet. We're going to go to the bullet script. Okay, so the bullet script. What we're going to do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the bullet spawn, and then it travels for 25 frames, which is about 1 second. And if the bullet's going pretty fast, it's going to go pretty far in 1 second. And then it's going to delete itself. So this is how you wait it 1 second. You need a variable called frame. Call it dash frame. Set OK. At the start, set frame to 0. Then, oh, no, yeah, okay. Oh, wait, this is what we need to, I'm sorry. We need a set frame here. We need to set frame to 0 right here before it creates the clone. Then, every frame, the bullet does this. It changes frame by 1. And then if the frame is greater than 30, because there are 30 frames in 1 second, then it deletes this clone. But we can't do that just immediately because the bullet lists, remember we need to update this bullet list so that we want it to reset to an underscore so that it knows it's inactive. So we're going to replace item, clone number of bullet X, bullet Y, bullet direction, and bullet type with underscore. And do that right before it deletes the clone. So that way it'll work. So this is how you make it detect if something's after 1 second. You see if you reset the timer and then it changes up by 1, and then after 30 frames, which is equivalent to 1 second, then it deletes itself. But I mean, okay, what happens if it's moving? So we can't really do move 10 steps, like point in direction. Okay, it got its direction, so I mean you would think, okay, you can do this move 10 steps. Well, not really, because if the bullet's off screen, if the bullet's on the edge and it tries to move 10 steps, it's gonna just be gliding on the side of the screen. It's gonna have inactive positions. We need to actually change the X and Y variables. We need to change the X and Y variables, our little bullet variables that we made. And the formula is, okay, so get a multiplication sign and put it in here. So in the left spot you put the speed. So I think 15 is good. It's gonna move. So that's basically moving 15 steps. And then you go here. We're gonna use some trigonometry again. So I mean, if you want to learn about trigonometry, sine of direction in the x part. It's really simple. Look at this. Change x by 15 times sine of direction. Change y by 15 times cos of direction, or cosine. That's what it stands for. Sine and cosine of direction. And that's it. That's it. That's going to update its position perfectly. Like, based on its direction, it's going to perfectly move it. And I could explain a little bit about how it works. So, if you have a circle like this, let me just, no, I want it to be small or thin. Okay, so there's a circle, and let's just center it. That's not very centered. Well, whatever. Okay, so like what sine and cosine measure, or like, so if you're going around the circle like this, right? If you're going around it, this is going to, it's uneven whether your x position changes. Like if you're here, your x position is going to be going pretty fast, and then it's going to slow down because then you're getting into steeper points. So it means like based on what angle you are at on the circle that points to whatever point you're at, it measures the x position and y position of that point based on that angle. So like this right here, this distance is, so like sine of 0. Okay, actually, so this right here, wait, so change y by, well, anyway, I can't remember if it's like, so like this is the sine, yeah, okay, so this is the sine, how far over you are based on your angle. So it changes x by the sign of this direction, so it moves it over the correct amount, and it changes y by the cosine of the direction. That's what this point is. It measures up and down based on whatever this direction is. So whatever your direction is, you take the sine of it and the cosine of it, and you're going to get the exact change between the points. So that is a little bit of the math. So that's basically what it does. And it gives you the right position every time. So now what we're going to do is just make sure the list is updating. So we're going to replace item clone number of bullet X and bullet Y with the new X and the new Y. Actually, what we're going to do is round it, just round it so we don't get like loads of decimals. And then we're just going to take our formula that we get for everything in this, which is our positioning formula, which is this. So go to the personal X minus scroll X and Y, personal Y minus scroll Y. Okay, so you just go to so put the minus blocks in, so you get X minus scroll X and Y minus scroll Y. And then show it. Okay, so that's the bullet script. That's basically it for the bullet movement. We still can't really try it, but I'll just show you what happens. Okay, but when we delete it, when the bullet gets deleted, it's going to be filled with these underscores, and we want the bullet list to clear at some point. So when the bullet list is filled with underscores, we're going to clear it. So what we're going to do is we're going to repeat until not the latest item in the list equals underscore. So item length of bullet X of bullet X. Actually, let's just do bullet type. Length of bullet type. So until not the latest one is an underscore, then we're going to delete the length of the bullet type of bullet X. So we're going to delete the latest one of bullet X, bullet Y, bullet direction, and bullet type. So it's got to be the last one, like before it deletes itself. And then you got to change clone number by -1. That's important so that it readjusts the clone variable to match the new length of the new list. And then you just hide it. Let's hide this. Okay, so that's it, like for the bullet scripts for now. So now we just have to make a way for the player to shoot the bullets. So let's do that. So point towards mouse pointer. Then we're gonna do if mouse down or key space pressed. I do the key space pressed because I just find it easier, especially if you're inside working on it and you don't click things, you might accidentally drag them. So I just add the space. And we don't. I won't do that. I won't do that yet. Okay. So what we're gonna do is this is what's awesome about it. You just add your position to the lists. So you just add player X, player Y, your direction to the bullet X, the bullet Y, and the bullet direction, and then you add, what was it, pistol to bullet type, and that's it. Like, look at it. Watch what happens. Boom. Oh, so that's why I don't like to click it, because you might drag it. So just press space and look at it. Like, see all those bullets. Look, it works. So you can shoot the bullets now. And look at the list. Like, if you look at this list, it's empty. Like, look at this. So I'm going to shoot it, and it's filling up with them. Okay, actually, I'm going to round all of these things. Yeah, so just round all this stuff so you don't get, like, a ton of decimals. And you just hit it, and look at it. So it's filling up with all this. And then little by little, it clears it. Like, see, it makes them all underscores. Like, look at this. So it's going to fill up with the underscores after it deletes them. And then once it gets to the end, it clears the list. Like, that's what's so awesome about it. And it's not just for the player. You can add it for the enemies, too. But, I mean, we don't want you just to be able to spew bullets out like that. We want a little bit of a delay. So what we're going to do is, when we do this, we're going to reset the timer. We can change this later. And the timer is greater than 0.2. So now if you do it, you can see we're only shooting one bullet at a time. So every time you shoot, it resets the timer, and then the timer has to just get past this point. You can make them shoot faster with 0.1, like if you want a really fast gun. You can make it 0.4 if you want like a really slow but powerful gun, like something like that. And we will add different gun types in the future. I think 0.2 is fine for now. Okay, so that's it. Now we can add it for the enemies. So let's just add this. Or no, actually, we made that thing in the enemy sprite, sort of. This thing down here. Just bring it up here to the enemy movement. Add enemy X to bullet X, add enemy Y to bullet Y, add direction to bullet direction, add pistol thing. So what we're going to do is just make it so if pick random 1 to 50 equals 1. So every 50 frames, so 1 in 50 frames, they'll do this. And you just put it in there, and you just, and now they're shooting bullets. Like, look at that. They're just shooting random bullets all the time. You can make them shoot faster, like 40. And now they'll shoot a little bit more often. And you can see they're shooting, and you can see they disappear after 30 frames, after 1 second, which is so awesome. So, we got the bullets working, but now let's make them damage the players. Let's add the hitboxes and the hit detection. Okay, so how do we do that? So, we're going to need... okay, so for the player, we're going to need a new variable. Call it player hit. So, what we can't do is have the bullet just touch the guy and touch the player and say, okay, you're hit, now delete myself. But, I mean, what if they're off screen? Like, what if the other enemies are just off screen? You can't see them, they can't detect if they're touching them out there. So we need to use more math to detect if they're touching. Well, first, let's just get that player hit variable. And where is this? Oh wait, I loaded the wrong picture. I have my pictures of things. And now I need to get my... Okay, script screenshots. Yeah, these are some of my scripts. I need to get the right picture. Where is it? Okay, I don't have the picture, so I'm just gonna have to go off of memory with this. Okay, alright, so basically what this variable does, this player hit variable, is it detects if the player's been hit. So it's like a variable. So if it's 0, the player's not being hit. If it's greater than 15, then the player is hit, and like their invincibility frames for 15 frames, so half a second, the player is not vulnerable, and this is not vulnerable. And then after 15 frames, it resets to 0, so then they're vulnerable again. So what we're going to do is we're going to, so we have that hit variable, the player hit variable, and we're also going to, so the enemies have their multiple enemies, and they have like private hit things. So we're going to make another list, call it enemy hit, and for all sprites. So we're going to make another list so we can tell more stuff about these enemies. At the beginning, we're going to delete all of enemy hit, and we'll just add 0 to enemy hit here. So add 0 to it. At the setup, we're going to delete all of it. Delete all of enemy hit. Okay, so that's good. Also, we're going to need a variable. A new variable for this sprite only called dash hit. Dash. And then you're going to do this. Set hit to 0. Just set it right there. Or like right here, I don't know, wherever you want it. Okay, so it's a variable that detects like what invincibility frame they're on. So in the bullet, we're gonna need some new detection on our bullet. So what we're going to do, we're going to do it for the player first. We're going to say if, let me zoom in on this. So we're going to say if, so in order to detect if the player is within close range of the bullet, we're going to do if abs of, so absolute value makes it always a positive number, so you know exactly what it is, of the difference of them. So it's finding the difference, x minus player x. So like, what is it? Like, it's minus 175, so the bullet's like way off screen. Like, but if they're pretty close, like 360, if the bullet's at maybe 375, like the difference of that, wait, what? No, 375. The difference is like 15. So they're in pretty close range. So the player's probably hit right there. So we need to detect if abs of x minus player x is less than 25 and abs of y minus player y is less than 25. Actually, you know what? I just thought of a way to simplify this. Like just now. You can just add them both together and then detect if it's less than 50. Like, what? That isn't, like, I just thought of that right now. That's so cool. Alright. Then, okay, so if we do that, then we're gonna delete, it's gonna delete itself. Wait, yeah, it's gonna delete itself. Well, no, it's not really. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set player hit to 1, actually. Yeah, 1. Okay, so we're going to set player hit to 1, and then we're going to set x, the bullet x to an underscore. And actually what we're going to do is take out this delete clone part, and we're going to add an if at the very bottom, put the delete clone inside. We're going to do if x equals underscore or x, or no, if, okay, so we're going to do if clone number is greater than the bullet list length, which is item, or greater than the length of bullet type, then it deletes itself. Or, wait, or if item clone number, that's why we took it out of here, or if item clone number of bullet X or bullet type, if item clone number of bullet type equals underscore, then it deletes itself. And actually, we're going to take this out. Sorry. Just take this out. Put this in here. Get rid of that. Or put this here. Put only those in there. And then this X, bring it up to here. There we go. And actually, I'm going to take this if and move it down here. Here, actually. There we go. Okay, so you do all the bullet movement. You change the frame by 1. You position it. We do this, our little player hit detection. Then we detect if the bullet's out of time, or if X is underscore, then it triggers its stuff to be set to 0 or blank. Then it detects if it's blank, or if this, then it deletes itself. Okay, that's the entire thing. Now, we set player hit to 1. Now we got to do the same thing for the enemies. Wait, and okay, so also we gotta do. Well, I'm just like noticing issues with this. Okay, and player hit equals 0, maybe. Yeah, probably. And so if player hit equals 0, and that stuff, if it's greater than 50, and okay, so this is why we need that bullet type variable. You're gonna add 10 to the bullet type here for the player. So the player is ID number 10. And down here, you're going to add enemy number plus 10. So the lowest enemy number is going to be 11, and that's going to be 12, 13, 14. The player's 10. So what that does is it makes it so that it can detect if the bullet was shot by your own guy, then it's not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to hurt yourself by shooting your own bullet. So, and not item clone number of bullet type contains 10. So we'll do contains because we might add like a pistol on the other one. And here you just switch costume to pistol up there, right here. So you do that. So if the player hit is 0 and it's in range and it can't be the player's own bullet, then you set player hit to 1 and set X to 0, which triggers it to delete itself. Okay, now we need to do it for the enemies. We can just copy this. We need if item enemy item. Oh, actually, okay, we need a new variable. Just call it -I1 because there are 10 enemies or however many enemies there are. You need to check them all. So after it checks for the player, set I1 to 0. Then repeat length of enemy X. Excuse me, length of enemy X. So it repeats. If there are 5 enemies, it's going to repeat 5 times. Change I1 by 1. So it does the first enemy, then the second enemy, the third enemy. So we're going to do this. So if we take out this and this. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Don't take those out. Take the player X out. Oh, no, this is not map. I'm sorry, not map. If bullet type, if not item clone number type. And bullet type. There. And in this place, you want to put I1 plus 10. So it's going to check, like, whatever enemy it is. Yeah. So if item I1 of enemy hit equals 0, so it's going to check if the enemy has not been hit, and you check item 1 of enemy X in place of the player X, and the enemy Y in the player X, like that. If it's less than 50, that's good. You do not set player hit to 0. You replace item I1 of enemy hit with 1. So that we'll see what happens when we go into the enemies and do that. It's gonna trigger it. Then we set that. Okay, so that should be everything. Okay, good. Now, so that's it. That's it for the detection. Now we just have to do this stuff in the hit detection, like the hit detection in here. If it detects it's gotten hit. So let's start with the enemies. So we have our hit variable. We're going to set hit to item enemy number of enemy hit so that it always knows what to do. And then we're going to replace, okay. Wait, no, actually we're not going to do that. Oh, okay, I was not reading my scripts correctly. Okay, we're going to get this if else. If hit equals 0, which it is by default. If hit equals 0, or no, not that, if it's greater than 0, so if the enemy is actually taking damage, we're just going to set the brightness effect to 30. And then we're going to set, okay, then we're going to get an if else. If hit is equal to 7. Okay, 15 frames was too long. So we're going to set, if hit is equal to 7, then we set it to 0. Otherwise, we're going to change hit by 1. Okay, so what it's going to do is if it's greater than 0, if it's like 1 or 2 or 3, it's going to change it by 1. Once it hits 7, it's going to reset. It's going to set hit to 0. Then once that happens, once we are actually at 0, we're going to set brightness effect to 0. And we're going to say if item, whoops, sorry. If item, oh wait, actually we're going to do this. We're going to say if greater than 0. If item enemy number of hit is greater than 0, we're going to replace item with 0. We're going to set hit to 1, and we're going to replace item enemy number of enemy hit with 0. Okay, so that's going to do it. So we can test this out on the enemies. Like, okay, so now you can shoot at them, and they are getting hit, which is awesome. You can fire it. Like, see, they're firing at each other, and now I can hit this guy. I can shoot him there. Okay, so actually the way I did it was, I thought it was a cool way to do it, but it doesn't work actually. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our ands back. So just get an and, take out this plus, take out this greater than thing, duplicate the and. No, just get one and. So you just test, you just get two greater thans. Or no, less than, sorry. Less than 25, less than 25. You put this in here and this in here. You get rid of that. And then you put that in there. Then you duplicate it, take out the player X. Put this in here, put this in here. Take this out, take that out, put that in. Okay, that was a mouthful. So all I did, so the full thing is if player hit is equal to 0 and abs of x minus player x is less than 25, and abs of y minus player y is less than 25. You put that in here, and not item clone number or bullet type contains 10. And then you duplicate that down here, and it's the same thing. If item I1 of enemy hit equals 0, and abs of x minus I1 of enemy x is less than 25, and abs of y minus the enemy y is less than 25, and not, and the bullet type is not the enemy's own bullet, which means it would be I1 plus 10, because we offset it by 10 in here when we added it to the bullet list, so when the enemy shoots. So you put that all in here. Okay, that's it. We're done with the enemies now. Now, just put this in here. Just drag it into the player. And we have it down here, and we're just going to drag it to the bottom. Put it right here. You can get rid of the, so rename these hits to player hit. So player hit, player hit, player hit. You just take this out. Oh wait, no, yeah, if player hit is greater than 0, you change hit by 1, or you set player hit to 1. Player hit, if player hit's probably greater than, okay, so wait, yeah, I don't have a picture for this, so I have to think about this. Set player hit to 1. If it's greater than 7, maybe. If player hit's greater than 7, set it to 1. Yeah, okay, that's it. So just copy what I did here. So if player hit is greater than 0, so if otherwise it's normal, just set brightness to 0. If the player hit's greater than 7, okay, so we actually need to set these to like 30, just, I don't know, set these to 30 or something. The player hit, an enemy hit. And then in here, okay, if it's greater than 0, okay. Player, so if it's greater than 7, you set player hit to 1. Then, otherwise, if it's not, then it's between 0 and 7. So if it's 7, it resets it. And if it's not, changes player hit by 1. Okay, that should be it. Now play it, and now you can get hit by the bullets. And you can see they can shoot at you. I think that's a little bit too generous. I mean, I think that's a little bit too big of a hitbox. So just turn these to 20s for the bullet hitbox. That's like within 20 pixels. So if I shoot this guy, okay, that made sense. Now if he shoots at me, there we go. That was good. I'll try to get him to shoot at me again. Okay, that works. So the bullets are done. Yay, that was a really long tutorial, and I'm sorry I messed up with my pictures, but this should be okay. Next tutorial, we're gonna do the collectibles. So we're gonna have like items spawning on the ground, and you can pick them up and switch between items. So we'll like add an inventory down here. You can switch your item, pick up the items, drop items. It's gonna, spoiler, it's gonna be like this bullet thing. We're gonna have a list, and it creates the you just add your position to the list or stuff, and you know it's player picks it. It's gonna be with the lists and the clone numbers and things again. All right, thanks for watching. Sorry this tutorial was so